All right, folks, hopefully you enjoy being outside here. A little background noise, but it's a lot better than looking at the back of my office. Got my hammock out there. You got some colorful azaleas going out there. Beautiful 70-degree day here in southern Indiana. One of the things, that I talk about occasionally on these videos is my 4 kids. And I have 4 very successful kids. I get a lot of questions around what did I do? What can I do? What advice do you have to develop successful kids? Well, I will first say that 99% of the credit goes to my kids, okay? It's all about them. They did this. 0.5% is probably luck, and 0.5% is a little nudging from their parents. So I want to give credit where credit is due. My kids are great. But when it comes to influence, I wanted to share 4 things that I did intentionally to help steer my kids. Number 1, let's back up a little bit. All 4 of them are engineers, okay? My oldest is 32. He's a mechanical engineer and a customer technical service representative in the automotive industry. Great kid, mechanical engineer. Great kid. My number 2 son just received this weekend his PhD in chemical engineering. His graduation was delayed 1 year due to COVID, but he's been working. He's a professor at a university. He's living the dream, influencing future students. Just couldn't be more proud of him. My 3rd son is an industrial engineer. He's got an MBA. He works in supply chain at a very high level. He's 28 years old and just killing it. Killing it as a career, killing it as making an impact in the world, and killing it financially. My 4th child is my daughter, and she's a chemical engineer. Just killing it, working for a Fortune 100 company, very highly regarded, just took a promotion. Lives in North Carolina, but all 4 of them very successful careers, hard workers, making a difference in their own way. People ask me, how did they all 4 become engineers? How did you do that? Like I said, a lot of luck, but a little bit of plan, okay? And a little bit of seeds that were planted by their parents. And I got 4 of them. Number 1, very early in my kid's life, and I would say 10, 11 years old, I showed them my finances. I showed them my budget. I showed them what I earned. I showed them my investments. Really got online, looked at 401ks, looked at companies, how much money I was making and saving. And so they understood how money works. Money doesn't bring all happiness, but money is a tool to be used in life, and there are consequences of doing it wrong. So showed my kids, introduced them to money at a very early age, did that one-on-one, high confidence, told them I trusted them, and they never disappointed me in that trust. So why not share details with your kids at a very young age? Number 2, I discussed jobs and careers with them beyond what they saw. If you're a freshman in high school, you're 13, 14 years old, and somebody asks you to name every career that you've ever heard of, they would say teacher, principal, policeman, fireman, doctor. That's all I know. They may not even have heard of a lawyer. They don't know what an engineer is. They don't know what an architect is or an actuary. So they don't know any of those things. So I started introducing them at the ages like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, discussing careers. Number 3, and this may be a little bit controversial to a few of you folks out there, but I started connecting the dots with them on career choices and consequences or results. I started looking at houses. We'd walk through my subdivision, walk through other subdivisions. On drives, I would point to an apartment complex, maybe in a rundown area, and says, hey, most of these people probably are working at a factory. They may be working at a fast food restaurant, maybe working as a waitress. Nothing wrong with any of these jobs, But if you work those jobs and you're making $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year, you may end up working, you may end up living in some place like this, driving that type of car. Not trying to be judgmental at all at this, but this person's a doctor, this person's an engineer, this person's a controller, this person's an accountant, this person's an architect, this person owns their own business, this person's a dentist. And when you're pointing to the house, the kids can connect the dots of, hey, if I apply myself, I get a skill. Doesn't have to be college. It could be a welder, it could be an architect, could be, ambulance driver. But with that decision, there are consequences, and I helped connect those dots. I think that was impactful for my kids. The fourth thing this all just, elevated up and wasn't my plan. I didn't have a 4-point plan, when my kids were young. It evolved. Job shadowing. About the age of 13, 14, I had my kids start to job shadow. Well, one of them was with me. Every one of them came out to the plant that I worked at, and I pointed out all the careers that they were, we ran into people in the hallway, and I asked them, what are you doing right now? So I'd bump into an engineer and say, what are you doing right now? And this kind of bridged the gap between what you think an engineer does and what they actually do. For example, engineering, a lot of people think they just do drawings and work in an office, at a desk all the time, and that's just not true. For the vast majority of engineers, you interact with people, you're out on the shop floor, you're dealing with, design and things out in the field. It's a very out of the office job. I job shadowed years ago with an emergency room doctor, and that helped me decide that I did not want to become a medical doctor. So those are my 4 actions that I took. Number 1, showed my kids my finances and introduced them to money early on in their life. Discussed jobs and careers beyond what they saw every day, like teacher, doctor, policeman. Discussed welder, machinist, robotics engineer, whatever. Also, consequences. Hey, try to equate if I'm a doctor, what does that mean for my lifestyle? I connected those dots by pointing to cars and houses. I'm not trying to say money buys happiness. I'm just saying there's a connection there. And then job shadowing, so people could understand, so kids, not people, could understand, what a job meant. That they don't have this preconceived notion of what a job is. They can see it. And then when it comes time when they're 17, 18, 19, 20 years old to select a career, which may not necessarily be the perfect career, but what it hopefully will be a nice foundation, which I think engineering is. Engineering is a great foundation. I think all 4 of my kids went into that because it was a career based on logical problem solving. Engineering is a degree in logical problem solving. That applies to being a doctor, a business owner, an engineer, an entrepreneur, a business leader. So many things you can do and springboard off of an engineering degree. Super proud of all of them, but those are 4 interventions that I took in the career selection of my very successful kids. This is Joe out.